This wasn't confusion. It was confirmation. The unease you felt around them wasn't just emotional. It was prophetic. Was it friendship? Or was it interference? Was it loyalty? Or was it a lesson wearing a familiar face? Not everyone who stands beside you is assigned to walk with you. Stay, because what's about to be revealed may explain why your spirit has been whispering warnings your mind couldn't translate. By the end of this message, you will see what God couldn't keep hidden any longer, the secret He's been waiting for you to be strong enough to know. Welcome to Chosen One's Sanctuary, where veils are lifted, scrolls are unsealed, and those with eyes to see are summoned into clarity. The book of Amos says, "Surely the sovereign Lord does nothing without revealing His secret to His servants the prophets." Amos 3:7. That stirring you've been feeling, it was never paranoia. It was preparation. The one you've trusted, the one you've loved, the one whose presence used to feel like home. God is about to show you why it suddenly feels like weight. Don't look away. Don't dismiss the signs, because today, the mask slips, and the moment it does, you will never unsee it. Stay, because the signs that are about to unfold may explain your entire life. The mark. Behind the mask. Before the betrayal, there was a stirring. Before the lie, there was a whisper. Before the fracture, there was a flicker of misalignment that you felt but couldn't name. Chosen One, God marked you. And that marking didn't just draw heaven's gaze, it attracted hidden opposition dressed as loyalty. The person closest to you was never just a person. They were a mirror, a test, and a gatekeeper, permitted to walk beside you only until your next elevation required exposure. Joseph was favored by his father, but envied by his brothers. Not because he was boastful, but because his coat revealed what their hearts couldn't conceal. And some people around you have been smiling through the same quiet resentment, not because of what you did, but because of what you carry. You weren't paranoid. You were marked. And when you're marked, even their silence speaks louder than their praise. So ask yourself, was it really love or proximity to your oil? Because one of the hardest truths to accept is this: the person delaying your destiny might be the one you keep closest, out of history, habit, or misplaced hope. What if their presence is the very reason your peace has been choking? What if their closeness is costing you your clarity? You felt it, you dismissed it, but heaven is revealing it now. The silence that screamed. There are times when God does not speak through thunder. He speaks through tension, through the uneasiness in a conversation, through the awkward pause after a compliment that didn't feel quite right, through the checking-in text that left your soul tired, not seen. Chosen One. The silence around you wasn't absence. It was divine surveillance. God was watching how you responded to what wasn't said, to the glances, the omissions, the spiritual static around someone you love. David played the harp for Saul, not knowing the same man who once celebrated him would one day throw spears at his head. That's the paradox of proximity. Familiarity dulls our discernment, until the Holy Spirit sharpens it again through stillness. If you've been sensing withdrawal, restlessness, if you've been craving solitude with no clear reason, this is why God has been trying to show you that some presences carry permission slips from hell. You weren't overthinking. You were overriding prophecy with politeness, and that is a price you can no longer afford to pay, because the silence you ignored yesterday becomes the storm you face tomorrow. When fire comes through flesh, they didn't break you. They birthed you through betrayal, through lies, through spiritual unequally yoked closeness. God allowed the fire to come not to destroy you, but to forge something in you that purity alone could not produce. Moses wasn't shaped in the palace. He was refined in the wilderness. And you, Chosen One, weren't defined by their praise. You were refined by their absence. the sudden cold shoulder, the "I'm just busy," the strange energy shift when your light got too bright. Let this settle in your spirit. You weren't rejected. You were reforged. Because the chosen don't just go through pain, they are processed by it. And if your spirit has felt heavier lately, it's not depression, it's preparation. Heaven has been burning off the final threads of dependency, even the ones you thought were sacred. Pain was your teacher. But now, clarity is your crown. They didn't see it, but God did. And now, so do you. The danger of ignoring divine checks. This is where many chosen ones stumble, not out of rebellion, but out of compassion. You see the best in people. You want to believe the connection is pure, but spiritual discernment cannot be overridden by emotional loyalty. The Holy Spirit doesn't always shout. Sometimes He sighs, and every time you ignored the sigh, the holy hesitation, you trained your spirit to tolerate what should have been removed. Esther didn't carry everyone with her into the throne room. Only those aligned with the assignment were permitted. And if God is showing you who doesn't belong in this next season, it's not cruelty, it's course correction. Because proximity without purpose becomes poison. And when you ignore the whisper of misalignment, you delay the roar of breakthrough. If this resonates, comment 444 now, as a prophetic sign that you are still listening and receiving. The unseen authority you carry here is the truth no one warned you about. Your presence unsettles people who haven't dealt with their own shadows. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. It's not that you're doing too much, it's that your frequency reveals their compromise. Jesus walked into rooms and demons cried out, not because He said anything, but because His purity exposed them. Chosen one, you carry a dimension of divine light that demands reaction. That's why their tone shifted. That's why they side-eyed your growth. That's why the conversation started feeling heavier. Your calling is confrontational by nature, not to the person, but to the spirits they host. And the spiritual weight you've been sensing lately, it's a sign your authority is increasing. You weren't abandoned, you were armored. So stop shrinking to make others comfortable. The room isn't too small. You've just outgrown the shadows inside it. The assignment demands separation. God is not asking you to hate them. He's asking you to release what was never meant to follow you into your calling. Jesus loved Judas, but still let him walk away. Why? Because divine assignments require clean atmospheres. You cannot birth prophetic destiny in contaminated air. And some people in your space, knowingly or not, are disrupting the oxygen of your breakthrough. Lot had to separate from Abraham for the vision to be activated. Not because there was hatred, but because presence without purpose creates interference. Let them go, not with bitterness, but with boundaries. Because where you're going, misalignment isn't just inconvenient, it's destructive. Your assignment is too sacred to be shared with divided hearts. The darkness knew. Before you did, hell didn't wait for you to rise before it attacked. It struck early, when you were a child, through confusion, through rejection, through the people who should have loved you best but broke you first. Why? Because darkness recognizes destiny, often before you do. The warfare over your life wasn't punishment. It was prophetic evidence. Why else would the enemy invest so much in silencing someone who was ordinary? You were targeted because you were marked. You were fought because you carry something eternal. Gideon was hiding in a winepress thinking he was weak. But the angel still called him mighty warrior. So hear this. Your attacks were never about your present. They were about your potential. And now, the enemy senses your awakening. That's why the tension around you has grown louder. That's why old connections are suddenly pushing harder for your attention. It's the last attempt to distract a rising prophet. Don't look back. The rise of the remnant. You are not the only one. All across the earth, the remnant is awakening. Those who were hidden in plain sight. Those who survived betrayal, isolation, misunderstanding, and still kept the oil. The ones who never quite fit in because they weren't meant to. This is your tribe, not bonded by blood, but by fire, not connected by history, but by heaven's decree. God is not just calling you. He is gathering the others like you. And when the remnant unites, the ripple is not local, it is global. What you survived alone is confirmation that you were built to lead together, and the time is now. Your clarity must echo. You thought this revelation was just for you? No, it was given through you, for the sake of the ones who still can't see clearly, for the ones still entangled, for the ones who are marked but mute. You are not just called to witness, you are called to echo. Like John in the wilderness, you must lift your voice in clarity so that others can find their way home. This isn't just about boundaries, it's about breakthroughs. This isn't just personal, it's prophetic infrastructure. Because the alignment you protect today will become the covering for someone else tomorrow. And that is why your silence has always been more powerful than their noise. You weren't blind. You were being protected from seeing too soon, because premature sight can corrupt holy discernment. And God needed your clarity to be forged through truth, not through trauma. Now the veil has lifted. Now your spirit has recognized what your heart once resisted. And now, the final thread is breaking. You are no longer the one who explains away misalignment. You are no longer the one who mistakes proximity for purpose. You are no longer the one who lowers your frequency to keep the peace. You are the chosen, refined in silence, tested through loyalty, marked by heaven, and now released into clarity. Let this settle deep in your bones. You were never meant to carry what couldn't walk with your assignment. And now that you've seen, you can never unsee. You have been observed, you have been refined, and now you have been unveiled. If your spirit knows this word was confirmation, comment 727 below. Not for attention, but as a sacred agreement with what heaven just revealed. Write what part stirred your soul the most. Let your clarity speak. And if your scroll is being unsealed right now, if you know you are not who you were yesterday, subscribe and stay connected to Chosen One's sanctuary, where the remnant gathers, the hidden rise, and the marked are commissioned. You are not alone. You are the next echo.